Embrace what you are watching. 17 years of excellence. Spurs basketball to perfection.
Pass inside, Diaz, Duncan for the finish. Spectacular ball movement.
The passing, the tenacity, the will to win seems unbeatable.
San Antonio one win away from another NBA title.
Great position for us, going back home with a closeout game.
But it's not over. You can't count them out. They've won in San Antonio.
James on the attack, goes to the rim. Impressive move.
And they are the defending champs.
We have a lot of respect for what they're able to do. We don't want to give them any life.
So embrace this. The fight within them, or the extension of an era. Game 5, next.
There are thousands of dads here in San Antonio who know exactly what they want for Father's Day. It's been 9 years since the Spurs and their fans arrived at this building with a chance to close out an NBA title. But the franchise's 5th championship is here for the taking because the Spurs' trip to South Florida was such an overwhelming success. In the way, the defending champs from Miami, who will try to muster enough pride to keep alive fading dreams of a three-peat. It's coronation or continuation in Game 5. Welcome inside AT&T Center, everybody. It's game time at the NBA Finals. I'm Matt Weiner here with Grant Hill, Rick Fox, Chris Webber as well. We are here at Game 5, and it has not been particularly close. In fact, the point differential between these two teams is now 53 through 4 games. That's tied for the biggest in a 4-game series that was a non-sweep in NBA's finals history, and that brings us to tonight and the first closeout opportunity for the Spurs. They are poised to put away the Heat in large part because of an extraordinary offensive exhibition. That's the word for it. They're on pace for the best shooting finals in NBA history. Kawhi Leonard is on track to win the Finals MVP award after back-to-back 20-point games, all the while tasked with taking on LeBron James on the defensive end of the floor. And for the Heat, it just can't get much worse after they were blitzed in back-to-back home games. Miami led for a total of 93 seconds over the course of games 3 and 4. They were outscored by 40 in those 2 games in the Miami leg of this finals. We have reports from both teams, Rachel Nichols and David Aldridge. We begin with Rachel on what the Heat hope to change tonight.
Well, Matt, look for some lineup changes tonight. You will likely see more of Udonis Haslem and Ray Allen. And the Heat are also hoping to bring a different mentality to the floor after spending the past 2 days talking, well, pretty much everything through. On Friday night, Chris Bosh invited LeBron, Wade, and Udonis Haslem over for dinner to hash out how to turn things around. Then on the airplane Saturday, players sat around telling stories of the most dire playoff situations they had ever been in before, like when James Jones' Phoenix Suns came back to beat Kobe Bryant's Lakers after being down in that series, well, just the same, 3-1. All the discussion seems to have put players in a very positive state of mind. In fact, at shoot-around this morning, Chris Bosh issued a guarantee.
We're not going down, so we're going to win this game tonight. We're going to come, we'll be prepared like we need to do, and, plain and simple, we're going to win this game.
Plain and simple. Of course, if the Spurs do happen to be leading toward the end of the game, I'm told that things will look different than that famous scene in Game 6 between these teams last year. There will be no bright yellow ropes around the court. Instead, the NBA will hold off on setting up for the trophy ceremony until the very last possible moment, so as not to influence either team. Now for a report on the Spurs, here's David Aldridge.
It's been 360 days since Game 7 of the 2013 NBA Finals. 360 days of waiting for the San Antonio Spurs to avenge what was a devastating 7-game series loss to the Heat last season. They've gotten through the Western Conference again, and their first chance at redemption comes tonight in front of what should be a raucous crowd at AT&T Center. They know that the defending champions will give a great effort, but the Spurs feel like they're supremely motivated as well. Tim Duncan told me a few days ago this is more about the 2-year journey this team has been on than any one game they're playing tonight. The struggle and the sacrifices that this team has made to get back here 7 years after last winning an NBA championship. Their opportunity to add a 5th ring to Tim Duncan and Greg Popovich's resume is but 48 minutes away. That's the story from here. Back to you.
Yeah, DA, all sorts of potential history tonight here in San Antonio if the Spurs can win and if they can continue doing what they've been doing, which is just overwhelming the Heat defense. They have 40 more assists than the Heat through 4 games of this series. They're not only putting up points, they're earning style points along the way for what people are describing as the most beautiful basketball they have ever seen. You look at the assist numbers and the percentage of buckets via assist. Basically 2 out of every 3 Spurs buckets, C-Web, have come off a pass.
Well, that's because they make the extra pass. It's not just because of the rule, don't let the ball stick in your hand, but these players know their personnel better than anyone else, and so they'll pass up an open pass to a player that is out of position, but make sure they get it to you in position. And Dial, none better on this team than being versatile, getting guys the ball where they can finish strong.
The whole idea of the passing of good for great.
Yeah, you can play with your teammates or you can play for your teammates. And when you're playing for your teammates, you're looking to create opportunities for them. And this is what we've seen from the Spurs, not only on the offensive end, but also in support defensively. They've been on a string. They've stayed in front of the Miami Heat team defensively, created turnovers, and gotten out in transition.
You guys are here to analyze. I'm just curious how much you admire what you've seen from the Spurs in this series.
I mean, what they have done has been really sensational, particularly in games 3 and 4. But, you know, the ball finds energy. And these guys find each other. They make hard cuts, the ball movement, the player movement, and the togetherness. You see that in how they play on both ends of the court. It's been fun to watch. Certainly someone who has no skin in the game, but San Antonio fans have got to be pleased with how they've been playing.
Well, especially so on the road. The last couple of games not only weren't close, they got out of hand really early. And San Antonio has outscored Miami by 38 points in the first quarters of this series so far.
Well, we know what the finishes have been like. Right now, though, the starts 0 for 4. The Heat have not won a first quarter in this matchup quite yet, and it's led to fast break 22 points to 2 for the San Antonio Spurs in the first quarter. When we look back to the 2 championships they won, 9 of the 12 first quarters they won in that series against Oklahoma City and San Antonio last year. In the losses in championship rounds of basketball so far, they're 2 of 10. So they got to get off to the right start, and by doing that, they have to put the right focus. It's ball and player movement, but deliberate, focused energy on both ends of the floor.
Yeah, we don't yet know about any potential lineup changes. We saw Ray Allen start in the second half of Game 4 for Rashard Lewis. We don't know what Eric Spoelstra is going to throw out there tonight, but how do they change their approach, the energy, whatever it is that's killing them in these first quarters?
You know, you can do the lineup change, but really it's got to be the mentality. Certainly they have come out lackadaisical, and looks like they don't really have a lot of energy out there on the court, and that's something that's been bothersome. Obviously, 4 straight finals appearances, that's got to be difficult. But, you know, you look at San Antonio. They went through a tough road to get through the Western Conference. They had a 7-game series against Dallas in the first round, but they look fresh. They don't look tired or fatigued at all. And so Miami, mentally, you got to sort of manufacture energy somehow, some way to come out here and deal with these Spurs. If not, then it'll be embarrassing here again in Game 5.
You're exactly right. That's why Bosch made an empty statement. Even if they win tonight, it's not because of his guarantee, and this guarantee has no pressure at all because in most people's minds the series is over. But more importantly, San Antonio outscored Miami Heat last year in the finals. They're very clear on what it is, and they lost the series in which they outscored an opponent. So them being up 38 in the quarter, I like what Tim Duncan said. This has been a 2-year journey for us. You know, that's why I would think that the motivation is here for San Antonio, because the first day of training camp, you watch the bad plays of your last loss, and I think sometimes we choose what stories we want to take, but to me, the story of perseverance, sacrifice, sticking together is with San Antonio, because it's harder to stick together 2 years, within a loss than it is just 1 year after. So their motivation, sticking to the script, paying attention to detail, has really just been impressive overall by the San Antonio Spurs team for me.
You know, the other night, Charles Barkley threatened to, I think he said, slap me upside the head because I asked about the issue of fatigue for the Miami Heat. Now in their 4th straight NBA Finals, they've played more postseason games in a 4-year span than any team in NBA history. Whether it's physical or mental, what kind of a factor is that?
What would Charles know about 4 finals.
That's a fair point.
Not that I know
anything.
Not that I know anything about it, but no, I mean, I think it does play a lot, and certainly the fatigue is a big part of it. They don't get out, as you said, and have fast break points. They don't get off to the fast starts, but their defense has been really bad. They don't look like they have it. And Rick, you obviously have played in 3 back-to-back finals, so you know a little bit about the energy and the fatigue, and really what's all involved with getting back there 3-4 times.
I do, and it is exhausting. It builds. To speak to LeBron's comment about he'd rather not make the playoffs and get his 2 months rest if he's not going to win a championship, there's something to that. Because as you go into the finals, if you're fortunate enough to get there 4 times, we didn't. Our 4th run to the finals, I tore a tendon in my foot. I was out. 3 other teammates had severe enough injuries that we ended up losing in that stretch going to try and make it back. So I can see it on their faces. I see it in their body language. They probably want to make moves for loose balls. They want to execute. They want to get back on defense quick enough, but I see a lot of jogging. I just see an exhausted team, and now emotionally, I can't imagine what they're dealing with.
Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6. Can't make excuses up here for these guys, and I've never won one. But the fact of the matter is we're all professionals, and if you weren't hurt, you still would have tried to play. And I don't think LeBron, one of the greatest players ever to touch a ball, wants that excuse in the locker room. But I think this is the way they played all year. They've gotten behind in the first quarter or not all year, but this is how maybe the second half of the season, or at times watching them play lackadaisical, just wondering, do those things kind of come out, along with being tired, as you guys so rightfully say. But if they were playing OKC, I think they would be the same physical wear and tear, but I think it would be a different mental play. I think it's the team. And, you know, guys, it's the second match. It's boxing. You know, the guy that felt that they lost in the first one or gave it away late in the rounds, you know, whatever happened to just sitting around at home going, you know what, we give them all the credit, Miami Heat, but I'm not going to tell anybody, but we really could have beat them. And I think that's how the Spurs feel, and I just think we got to give them credit for coming out and taking it, because you got to take it from the champion, so I heard.
Yeah, it's true.
This is game 12 between the two over the last 2 finals. By the way, game number 399 for the Heat in the Big 3 era, and they are hoping they get to number 400. On the other side, Dwayne Wade on what it's taken to get even this far.
This is what we signed up for. This is the reason that we decided to take the sacrifices that we've made in our own personal gains, our own personal pockets, and all the other things that come with this, you know, so we can be in this position.
What a tough shot from Parker. Duncan for the finish.
San Antonio stands on the brink of a 5th title.
The San Antonio Spurs with another virtuoso performance. They dominate for the 2nd straight game on the road.
While the reigning champs face elimination.
We respond the way champions do, man.
Heat, Spurs, the NBA Finals, Game 5, tonight at 8 Eastern on ABC.
Dwayne Wade getting himself ready for his 29th career NBA Finals game. He has never had a tougher one than Game 4 when he shot 3 of 13, the worst shooting night of his NBA Finals career. So he now faces not only elimination, but, as you've certainly no doubt heard by now, an uncertain summer as well. But his conversation with Rachel Nichols begins with Thursday night's humbling loss.
I mean, they smashed us. 2 straight home games, got off the awful starts. You know, they came in and you know, was much better than us in these 2 games. It's just that simple.
You know, the Spurs they playing better than us. They whooped our butt here at home, and you know, you got to give them credit.
After Game 4, you guys used language like, they smashed us, they whipped us, it was a beatdown. This all sounds very painful. I mean, is that what it really felt like?
Oh, man, yeah. They beat us pretty good. We don't really lose like that often, but especially at home. You know, those 2 games at home, you know, if you get Game 2 on the road, you're going back home with a little bit more confidence. Like, you know, this could be 3-1 in our favor if we do it right. But they came out and played amazing. You know, those 2 games are the best I've seen in places we played against them. So, yeah, we got our butt whooped, all of us, you know, and that's what we do as a team. We accept it, and we own it, and we take it on the chin, and they beat us bad.
Now, in past finals, there's been times where things haven't gone so well. You guys have gone to the gym like late night hours or off days, either together or individually. Did you do any of that?
I felt Friday was the kind of a day where everyone wanted to get away from the game, because, you know, you wake up in this funk still from the night before. I eventually went to the gym, you know, and the biggest thing for me is I wanted to sweat a little bit, You know, I wanted to look at the basket, shoot a couple shots, and wonder why I missed the shots I missed. You got to get out of it, and I think it starts mentally. And I think late Friday night mentally, for me it started, and then have an opportunity later that night to really talk to the guys, talk to Bron, talk to Chris, talk to UD, spend some time together as captains, as leaders of this team, and just talk about where we at and where we're trying to go. And just like we always do, in any situation we've been in. So it was good out.
What'd you come up with?
We got to win the game. It all boils down to, obviously we have to play better, all of us collectively, and that's what we've done. We've always focused on the task at hand, and it's a tall order in front of us, to come back down from 3-1 to win a championship. It hasn't been done, but we got to win one game. We like to feel that what better team to be in this position than us. All we know is what we've done is we've put ourselves in a position every year to compete for a championship. Didn't go well the first year. We went great in 2 years in between, but it wasn't all great. We was down in those series as well. But we figured out a way to become champions, and this time around again, we have to figure out a way to put ourselves in a position to try to become a champion again. So this is what we signed up for. This is the reason that we decided to take the sacrifices that we've made in our own personal gains, our own personal pockets, and all the other things that come with this. So we can be in this position.
You had great first 3 rounds of the playoffs, much more inconsistent in these finals. Everyone keeps asking you if you're injured. They're looking for a reason. Yeah. So, for the record, you are not injured, correct?
No, I mean, I haven't done anything on the court where anyone can say I'm injured. I just, I didn't play well in Game 4. I haven't been as aggressive during this finals as I was last year in the finals. No, I'm fine. I feel great. Last year I was playing on one leg. That was the conversation then. So, when you're not playing well, everyone's going to, nitpick and look at certain things, but not here. Not with this team. Nothing is wrong. We're fine. We just got our butt kicked individually and as a team, and we got to come out and respond.
When you do look at film of yourself at 32 that you are now, do you feel like that guy has the lift that he needs out on the court?
I feel like I have the championship heart that I need. I'm a different player, and I had to change my game dramatically. I don't look at that guy and say, ooh, I want to be him. I look at that guy and say, man, he was all right, he did some good things, but now I'm on a different page. I'm comfortable and confident where I'm at. So I just got to go out and do my job. And if I do my job as a leader, everything else falls in place. LeBron does his job as a leader, Chris as well, Udonis, all these guys. Everything falls in place for us.
If you guys lose this game, it triggers all those conversations that you guys have been putting off until the off season. Will you guys opt out? Is this team going to stay together? Is there going to be radical changes? I know you're not thinking about that going into this basketball game.
Right,
but is there any sort of sense of, hey, this could be the last hurrah for us? We got to play a certain way. I want to keep this going.
Nah, it's not. You can't live your life like that. You can't live your life in fear of something that is the unknown. You have to live in the moment, and that's what we've done since we've been together. We've lived in our moment, and over these last 4 years, I would want to win with nobody else or lose with nobody else. These unbelievable guys that I get opportunity to play with every day. So, no, that's the farthest thing from my mind, and I know from other guys' mind. Our focus is winning this ball game, and we got to find a way to try to, keep this series alive by winning one game here.
It's not that Wade's numbers are terrible. He's shooting 46% from the field, scoring 16 a game. But as you see, they're just not what the Heat have gotten out of him in the previous 3 finals. And you don't see the reckless abandon that was such a big part of Dwayne Wade's game. You don't see the lift that Rachel referred to in the interview. So what do the Heat need out of this version of Wade tonight to save their season?
Well, first of all, I don't think you need to see the old Dwayne Wade for him to be effective. He certainly can go out there because he has the experience. He's been around. He's crafty enough where he can get to the free throw line. He can make plays in the paint. He can use his mid-range shot. He's got to come out, like he said, and be aggressive and play with confidence. It looks as though he doesn't have his confidence that he had different times throughout the season. So if he can be a guy who can get 20 points for them and be aggressive for the Heat, then that'll certainly help them here in Game 5.
Remember, he missed more than a third of the Heat's regular season because of that maintenance program they had him on to keep his legs fresh. As guys who played deep into your 30s, the extra day off between Games 4 and Game 5, how much of a difference will it make for him tonight?
Every day, every hour makes a big difference. But one of the reasons why I'm such a fan of the Miami Heat and of Dwayne Wade and of LeBron and of this Miami team is because Dwayne is lying in that video. He's hurt. but he doesn't want to make an excuse. Or not hurt, he's on a decline, or he has an injury. You recognize when you've seen yourself in these positions and him not being able to get the lift, him taking the double pump fakes off of jumpers and not getting contact just like that right on time. You know, his game is declining in effort. And what I mean by that is things that he can actually do, Rick. And I love the fact that when we look back at this 20 years later, all we'll hear is, no, I'm fine. We got our butt kicks. And that's what a man does. But recognizing and having gone through that, you can tell when his gait, his pace, nothing is the same. And it could be because of age, or it could be because of a missing ligament that you need to walk around.
Yeah, that'd be nice to have.
The meniscus, you speak.
Yes. Look, yes, to that point, but above the shoulders, he's still a two-time NBA champion. And three-time, sorry, Dwayne. He knows this moment. He's lived in this moment. He's going to call on his body to do things, hopefully, that it can still do. If he feels good tonight, the 2 days, I think, does give him an added advantage to have a better effort tonight physically. I think this is just the first game, when I look at the 4 games so far, where this team really realizes that the San Antonio Spurs may be the better team. And it doesn't mean they still can't be champions, but when they left here in game 1 and 2 split 1-1 and went home, I think they were still pretty confident. When they got smacked around with the historical shooting percentage, I think they chalked that up to that was just one of those games. It wasn't until game 4 that they realized we are the underdog. And so I think we'll get a focused Miami Heat team tonight.
What was the old ad campaign? Get knocked down 7 times, get up 8?
Yeah.
He's not even on the floor.
He needs to get knocked down 8, get up 9. Yeah.
Mostly just staying up at this point.
Straight
at
that leg
32 years of age. We'll get to the Spurs side of things on the other side, including their most decisive advantage when we come back, their depth. Kawhi Leonard, just one of the other pieces that have shown so far in these finals.
When you talk about Ginobili, Tony Parker, and Tim Duncan, you know, you talk about greatness.
Check out the numbers, fellas. 20 points, 18 rebounds, 10 assists, and 8 block shots. The San Antonio Spurs are your world champion.
Ginobili to Duncan. Duncan puts it in. You know, this is the best team in the NBA over the past decade. The Spurs with a sweep of the Cleveland Cavaliers. The brilliance of Tony Parker leading the way. Takes it to the basket. Duncan, a three-pointer. Puts it up. It's gone. Tim Duncan from three-point line ties the game. Ginobili to the basket. Puts it up. Banks it in. With 1.8 remaining. Spurs win in double overtime. Ginobili to the cutting Duncan. Oh,
Here's Ginobili for 3.
It's the Manu Trace with 1.2 seconds remaining in the second overtime.
Parker on the drive, nearly lost it, still dribbling. Parker with 2 to shoot, just gets it off in time. And he banks it in. What a shot from Parker.
Duncan in the lane, gets it to go. Now 5th all-time in NBA playoff history in scoring.
The San Antonio Spurs, a team for the ages, with a display of basketball that puts them in the pantheon of the great teams in NBA history.
2 teams with big threes in this series. The difference is, of course, continuity, because the Spurs guys have played together so long, and depth as well, because the next 3 is really what's doing it for San Antonio against the Heat in this series, starting with Kawhi Leonard, who, if the vote were taken right now before Game 5, would be the Finals MVP. What have you learned about Leonard in this series?
Well, if the vote was taken during the season, he would have been the MVP if you would talk to Coach Popovich. Having done several games to him, Coach Popovich has been saying, this is a great kid, Chris. The only thing I need him to do is to not to try to please me, but to please and to do the things that we need him to do, and then it'll please him. So he wants him to be more aggressive. But number one, I've always thought that Miami would have a tough series because they could not switch as far as personnel. Kawhi could play 1 through 4, especially if LeBron is at the 4. He can not only shoot off the dribble, finish inside strong, but he's just such a tough matchup. We talked about D-Wade. his knee not only affects him offensively, but it affects him defensively as well. But when Kawhi Leonard is engaged, active and aggressive, attacking the basket, not only is he a great scorer, but he's a pretty good passer, and he makes problems for the other teams as well.
And has the loudest missed dunk of this series as well.
Yeah.
The place in Miami went crazy when he went for that dunk on Birdman off the baseline in Game 4. Boris Diaw inserted into the starting lineup by Greg Popovich. He is plus 65 in their wins. How's he making such a difference?
Well, I'm going to take this then, Grant. You get to talk about Danny Green. Well, Boris has been I think, as versatile as you could be on both ends of the floor. I love the fact that defending Chris Bosh out on the perimeter takes away Chris's opportunity to stretch the floor for the Heat, but then his willingness to create for his teammates. Yes, we know he can score the basketball, but he's constantly a second or third point guard on that floor, because I can argue that Timmy is pretty good at passing and creating for his teammates as well. But he's just been a matchup nightmare, because now if you put someone smaller on him, takes you down the post, and he can even still has enough left to get to the rim. So he's a complete player, and I just love the versatility he's given the Spurs on both ends.
Just made some amazing plays. His vision is crazy. Danny Green, like Diaw, is another great example of a guy who fits in this system maybe better than anywhere else in the NBA. I'm sorry, I know he's a Carolina.
What's the chant?
Yes.
What was
Thank you for getting him with this.
Was it GTC?
No. He's my second favorite Tar Heel next to Mr. Fox.
Number 2.
Okay, well, good.
Yes. But no, Danny Green really does fit into this system here in San Antonio. And certainly, as you can see, he has played well throughout the playoffs, but also here in the finals. And they need him to score in the high teens in order for them to have a win, which he has done in 3 games thus far. But because of their unselfishness and their ball movement, they find him open a lot of times, and he can hit that shot. He's playing with great confidence. I thought in the Oklahoma City series in that last game in Game 6, he got hot, and there's been tremendous carryover here now into the finals. And so once he gets going and starts hitting those shots, you know the San Antonio Spurs are going to win. And for a Carolina guy, he's not that bad, I must say.
Not that bad. That's about as high praise as you're going to get.
And Matt, I just wanted to mention this. The great thing about us talking, especially for the kids that's watching, it's always like immediate gratification. You know, Green and Boris just came out of nowhere. We just saw Boris losing, you know, with Grant, the type of things you go through. And those 3 were the scapegoats last year.
Yeah,
if we're really honest. Green not shooting well, this guy over dribbling, Boris not being tough enough. And so with me, regardless of who wins the series, I love seeing the individual stories. And the individual stories for those 3 are, they got their butts busted, they spent time working over the summer, Patty Mills losing weight after that, and they stayed focused, because your goal is never guaranteed. And the hardest part is to go through the focus of the journey, and you just have to pat them on the back, because during the journey, we're here now, but it just seems that they've been focused and ready to play, and you have to kind of pat them on the back for the difference of a year.
Yeah, and this big 3, I think, has been bigger than the Hall of Fame big 3 in this series.
Even bigger picture, the perseverance of Green, who's played everywhere, and Boris Diaw, who was cut by the Bobcats last year before he landed.
How you like him now?
In San Antonio.
Bobcats,
huh?
I like him pretty well.
They got a Carolina
How you like
owner.
him now?
Yeah.
A closeout chance for number 5 tonight for the Spurs. And on the way, oh, that guy, LeBron James. What his response will be to a couple of blowouts here on the road.
Boris said, "Thank you, Charlotte."
LeBron James has had some great moments and some not so great moments in elimination games over the years, including Game 4 of the 07 finals against these Spurs. He had 24 points with 6 turnovers, and his overmatched Cavaliers were swept by San Antonio. 3 years later, still a Cavalier at that point, Eastern Conference semifinals. Tough series generally, but a triple-double in Game 6, which was not enough.
Grown man coming down the lane.
Ooh, as the Cavs fell to 6, and that was his last game as a Cavalier. Finally took off that jersey for good as he walked off.
You sure for good?
A year late, well.
Rumors already.
I can't be sure, I guess. No.
I'm sure the Heat don't like that.
A year later, first year of the Big 3 in the NBA Finals against Dallas, 21.6 turnovers in Game 6 as the Mavericks won their first NBA championship. A year after that, Game 6.
What a game.
That's when he became a man right there.
45 points, 15 boards
As you
against
would say,
Boston.
Groner man.
And the Heat would go on to beat the Celtics in 7 games. Last year, of course, Game 7, 37 points, 5 threes. As the Heat took advantage of the reprieve given to them by the Spurs in Game 6 to win back-to-back NBA titles. He has won his last 5 elimination games, averaged 35 points, 11 board shot, 52% along the way. Now, depending on your point of view, yesterday, James offered some either healthy or troublesome perspective on the position he now finds himself.
Today is a new day. I have another opportunity to help this team keep our season going. But I also know that, I don't know, man, I'm in a good place in my life. It's basketball. I understand you guys, I mean, it's the media and, you know, this sport it's the greatest sport in the world. I love it. It's done so many great things for me, but it's just basketball.
You seem to have a peace of mind, maybe more than you did a few years ago, about taking losses and some of the ups and downs.
I mean, 2 championships helps that. Yeah, it helps it for sure. But understanding what means a lot to me, understanding what's important and understanding what's not important, you know, allows me to kind of just, you know, live in the moment and not focus on what's happened in the past. You know, I can't control the past. I can't redo it. I can live in the present, try to affect the future, and live with the results while I'm in it.
You know, a psychologist would probably listen to that and think this is a guy with a great grasp on what's important in life. We're all lucky to be sitting here. This is a basketball game we're talking about. On one level, he's right. It's basketball.
I was going to have a joke,
people,
but until you just helped that comment, no, it's not.
Wait, I'm not done. There are other people out there watching these games who are living and dying with the results and hoping that their stars are feeling the same way.
Yeah, you know, we've all done interviews where we've wanted to make our point and we've made a point and maybe it didn't translate that well. I think that's what he was trying to do, but we can't say it's just basketball today and then it's not basketball tomorrow. Okay, we aren't heroes. We aren't the veterans out there fighting. We aren't saving lives. We aren't doctors. We get that. But there are a lot of people, just like there are people that go to work every day, put their passion in it. It's a lot of people that basketball is everything. Mm-hmm. And so when he says that, I kind of get what he says, but if I'm a Heat fan, I don't like kind of how relaxed, because you were going to come to me and I was going to say, well, it's just basketball, ask Grant, but it's just never that type of thing. I mean, there's so much more, but it's kind of giving you an inside look into the head. I don't know if a psychologist would say that's good or say that's the talk of a defeated athlete, because the best athletes I've been around, we don't admit it's just basketball until we get around our families, friends, and so forth.
I think they still got the Larry O'Brien down there in front of the podium.
Right. But it's just a trophy.
It's just a trophy, but it is, if you look on this court,
it's beautiful.
It's
a nice trophy.
Yesterday was, if he was living in the moment yesterday, that was an off day. It was a press conference. No reason for him to be in game mode that day. But look, you don't know when you're going to get back here. There is no guarantees being back here. And I'm sure the basketball gods have blessed LeBron immensely over the course of his career. But as we see from the San Antonio Spurs, the hunger that they have to get back to being champions again, the voodoo that you would say they put on the Heat, and LeBron in particular, both times he's seen them in the finals, they've owned his teams. And so this is an opportunity for him to get back. Grant, wouldn't you want to get back?
I agree with you, Rick, and you made a great point. I mean, there's no guarantee you'll get back. Well, the last time the Spurs prior to last year was, I think, 2007.
Yeah, it's a huge drought.
A huge drought. And, you know, look, this guy is chasing legends. And this is important to him. He may say that, much like Chris said earlier about D-Wade lying and not telling the truth. I think LeBron was lying right there, trying to play it cool. Yeah. But with his guys in the locker room, look, it's now or never. He knows that if they go down and they don't win this series, then it's on him. And he's worried about now, he's playing for his legacy, in my opinion. So he's well aware that, you know, the ramifications of losing this game and losing this series. I imagine he's going to come out and be that aggressive LeBron that we saw in Boston. See that aggressive, even in that first.
He's not on Mount Rushmore, you just said?
No, I didn't.
Oh, I'm just
Mount
making,
Rushmore.
I'm just.
No,
never mind.
I had to articulate better.
I'm just messing
I had
you
to
up.
articulate better. No.
He's just putting words in your mouth.
Let me see what he does tonight. Let me see what he does tonight. Tonight will tell me something.
Tonight's a big one.
I got one more spot on my Mount Rushmore.
Here on Game Time.
You can earn it tonight.
From the NBA Finals, Tim Duncan on Tim Duncan's legacy when we come back. Tim Duncan wasn't around for the actual Battle of the Alamo. It only seems that way.
He is old.
But at this point in his Hall of Fame career,
you sure of that?
He's as closely associated with this city as anybody, Davy Crockett included. And he's outlasted plenty of Western Conference insurgents along the way. Now Duncan has a chance to become the 8th player since the Celtics dominated in the 60s to win 5 titles with the same team. And with a ring in sight, Duncan reconnected with his old teammate, our Steve Smith.
That is T-E-A-M-T. D out of Duncan, lays it up and in, and the Spurs can put this one in the back pocket.
San Antonio Spurs take a 3-1 lead in the 2014 NBA Finals.
What's the key, Tim, to the longevity and the consistency for you and the Spurs?
Adapting. Our team has adapted. I've adapted and I've changed my game.
Diaw on the drive. Inside to Duncan.
Physically, I try to change myself just to kind of keep the stress off my body.
How about at his advanced age, the ability to perform his best? Truly amazing.
Pop has adjusted his coaching style. When we played, it was, as you remember, it was me and Dave. We used to pound it inside. I would slow it down. We'd be in the 80s. Now we're a night in and night out. We're in the 90s and 100s.
Speaking of Pop, talk about that relationship with you and Pop, and off the court, on the court. R.C. Buford has kind of summed it up as you guys are soulmates.
We work well together. We work well together. We don't shine each other on. When we tell the truth, we're up front with each other.
Keep up with the D and the board. Great job on Dirk. Have fun, vary your game, be loosey.
We care about each other, and we want the best for each other. And you set the foundation of a relationship like that, there's success to be had.
Yeah, TD. Good job, baby. Get this.
1997 draft, selected the #1 overall pick.
Pretty good, huh? Feels good?
What would you say to that 21-year-old Tim Duncan today?
It's going to be a fun ride.
Fun ride?
It's going to be a real fun ride.
San Antonio Spurs win their first ever NBA championship.
2003 NBA champion.
Spurs have won their 3rd NBA World Championship.
And the 4th time in their rich history, the San Antonio Spurs are NBA World Champions.
What would a 5th title mean to you?
You know, it would mean a whole lot. I won the first 4, and then losing 1. I think that changed everything to get to that point and to get all the way to the end there and to not come out with it. It makes this one that much more special.
Spurs on 3! 1, 2, 3!
Tim Duncan with tonight's game has surpassed Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He's played more playoff minutes than anybody in the history of the NBA.
17 seasons later, it's your 6th finals. You thought you'd be here?
No, not for this long. No, I've been blessed. It's been an amazing career. It's been a lot of fun. As I said, it's been one heck of a journey.
Unbelievable run by Tim Duncan. You see the ranks in the postseason all-time in all those categories. Chance for ring number 5 tonight, and he's already getting asked questions about what he'll do if and when they take this NBA Finals. The way Greg Popovich uses him, how many more years could Tim Duncan play?
Well, how many more years does he have on his contract? Is it 1?
1 more year, player option next year.
I expect him to play 1 year and to be done. I expect him to leave with dignity, to keep playing until he can't play anymore. But just being on this team, whether they win or lose championships, it just seems as if this team is a joy to be around. If you're on this team, they play ball the right way. So when you're in those type of situations, it's not just about the winning that keeps you around. It's also about the relationships, man.
It is. You know, Chris, the great thing, too, about Tim being able to do less as he got older and having, first of all, the example in David Robinson when he came in as a young player. David Robinson stepped aside, allowed Tim Duncan to really showcase his skill and talent. And now Tim Duncan, not going into him 25 times a game, but now being a little bit different in how he's used, understanding this is going to add to his longevity and, of course, allow him and his teammates to be in this position. So really kind of kudos to him in terms of accepting less of a role and allowing his team to flourish around him.
Yeah, individually with the statistics surpassing, when you start talking names like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, that tells you all you need to know about him individually when it comes to longevity and greatness. But I think he'd tell you that he'd want to be remembered for the championships that he's been a part of and can still be a part of going forward. How many more years? I don't know. This team is starting to transition to a younger, well-talented and coached team still.
Yeah, he changed his body along the way, lost 15 or 20 pounds a couple of years ago. Looks like a fresher player. His his change in terms of his role has also mirrored a change in the league. You don't see as many post-up guys anymore, and the Spurs don't play a lot of post-up basketball these days.
And I think that anytime you have a successful team, a successful relationship between your coach and your best player in Tim, it's just back to what Grant said. You know, it's still not the same traditional post. He's there most time as a decoy or as a passer, but still very effective inside. But you guys made the point. David Robinson stepped out the way. He brought in great leaders, and I think the best part about this situation is that it's reciprocal. He's doing everything he can for this team, but Popovich and those guys are doing everything to protect him, which is why they had the best bench in the game this year to keep these guys healthy to be around right now in winning time.
But Duncan's at the heart of it and has been for 17 years now. A chance for another ring tonight here in San Antonio. Game 5 coming up. The Heat trying to extend their season, and the Spurs hoping to lock it down here on their home floor. We talked earlier in the show about the need for the Heat to get off to a better start tonight. The Spurs have jumped all over Miami in this series and throughout the postseason when they are 13-0 when leading at the half. Something to watch tonight in Game 5. Here's David Aldridge with Greg Popovich.
Thanks very much. Pop, you waited a year for this opportunity. What will your message be to your team before the game tonight?
Same as it always is, basically, playing the game, trying to execute, and do it with aggressiveness.
You have played extremely well the last 2 games. What has been most impressive, or what have you taken the most solace in the way your team has played?
I thought our defense improved between games 3 and 4. I thought we did a good job of containing their aggression in that sense. So we've always passed the ball fairly well, but the defense is important against a team that's as dynamic as they are.
Thanks, Pop. See you tonight. Good luck.
Here with Coach Eric Spoelstra. And Eric, after Game 4, you told us you were going to lay everything out, look under the hood, and try to see what you needed to change. So how extensively did you take a look at everything, and what did you find?
We need to play a lot better, and you have to give them credit. But we need our best game of the series. That's quite obvious, and that's what we worked on the last day. We had a good day off away from everything to clear our minds, and yesterday was a good day of work.
LeBron James said that he twisted his ankle in Game 2, that he starts games okay, but that it starts to feel worse as each game wears on. How do you manage that so it doesn't come back to bite you at the end of this game?
Playing more minutes. I mean, nobody's making excuses at this point. He won't be coming out too much tonight unless there's foul trouble.
And what about Dwayne Wade? He said that he was so concerned with his shooting touch after Game 4, he actually went into the gym on that off day to try to regain it. What do you say to him?
Nothing. I love being in these situations with Dwayne and all of our guys, but I've been around Dwayne the longest. In these type of pressure situations, he always comes up the biggest.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks, Rachel.
Back to you guys.
Rachel D.A., thank you both. No sweat from either team, both of whom have been through this situation before. Hey, the NBA Social Media Awards are back right now on NBA.com. You can cast your vote for the best hashtag award. Let's take a look at the nominees. To vote for this category and others going forward, just go to NBA.com/SMA. More coming up here from San Antonio, leading you to the tip for Game 5 tonight, a possible 4th championship ring for Tony Parker. Happy Father's Day to all you dads out there. Hope you're having a great one. Plenty of dads and sons and daughters making their way to the arena here tonight, and they know exactly what they would like for a Father's Day gift, a Game 5 win. Let me throw a number out at you. LeBron James has taken just 20 free throw attempts in this series so far. Only one other 4-game stretch in the regular season in which he took as few as 20, and the last time he did it was last year's finals. How important a number is that tonight, free throw attempts for him?
Well, you want to be on the attack. You want to put the Spurs on their heels, put them in the penalty, gives yourself and your teammates an opportunity to get to the line.
The reason why they're one of the toughest teams to guard is because if you turn the ball over, it's going to be an automatic fast break. We haven't seen much of that. And also, LeBron, one of the hardest guys to stop. If you try to stop him going down the paint, really surprised about that number.
I agree with both of you. Tonight, I expect that trend to change. LeBron's going to come out and be aggressive, get to the line 10 times tonight.
All right, does it end here tonight? Is it coronation or continuation?
I would say it's coronation. I like that. I'm going to steal that. It's coronation. The reason why I say that is because a year ago, we saw San Antonio going with their heads down. They've been talking about this all year, Rick.
As much as I'd like to go back to Miami to do some moon tanning, I think it ends here tonight.
Moon tanning.
Tweet us and we'll tell you what that
is.
It's a new thing.
we didn't need to hear about that.
Nah.
Who wins tonight?
But it's a new thing.
You know what? I said Game 6.